Hello and welcome to all of our Gold Learning viewers. I'm Fiona Lang Sharp, IBCLC Director of Communications here at Gold Learning. Well, welcome to all of you listening in today. I have a very special guest here today, Robin Glass, who is going to be speaking at our upcoming Gold Neonatal Conference. And she is going to be joining us live here at Gold Neonatal. And of course, you'll need to go to the website to get all your local time zones. But I will tell you that she's going to be speaking on June 12th. So you can check out everything on the website, of course, at goldneonatal.com. And with that, I'd like to welcome Robin here today. Welcome, Robin.
Hello, thank you for having me as part of Gold.
Well, we're very excited to have you here at Gold, and now I get to ask you some skill testing questions about yourself, of course. And I know we've been chatting a little bit offline about all the cool things that you do, so I know you're going to tell us about those today. But perhaps you could first introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you currently do or where you are working in this part of the world and what you do on a day-to-day basis.
Yes, well, thank you. Well, I am an occupational therapist and a certified lactation consultant. And for many, many years, I have been working at Seattle Children's Hospital up here in the corner of the United States in the beautiful Pacific Northwest in the state of Washington. And we are having a lovely day here, so it's a good day to have a Gold conference and speaking with you. My work at Children's is very varied, but for the entire time that I've been working at Children's, I've been involved with both inpatients as well as outpatients, and all of these are young babies and their families. In the NICU, I am working with premature infants and other ill infants. Children's is the highest level NICU that we have in the United States, and therefore we do very high level surgeries and care for very, very fragile infants, as well as the entire array of things that can happen to infants. Many of them, of course, have feeding and swallowing difficulties, and that's really my specialty. So we see the babies as inpatients, but also we see them in follow-up as outpatients. As well, we get lots and lots of referrals from the community for infants who are otherwise healthy but are having feeding and swallowing difficulties, and they're referred to us. I started out my career as an occupational therapist, mostly working in pediatrics, and over the time, I've just gotten to work with younger and younger babies until I started at Children's, and many of my babes are premature, and they shouldn't even be with us at that moment, but they are learning to feed in the hospital and within that context of immaturity. So I have loved doing that, and I have really thought a lot about infant feeding and swallowing and tried to make sense of all of the factors that are going on for these babies. So that's actually one of the things that I hope you really all take away from this presentation is the complexity of infant feeding, but all of the factors one needs to consider in really making an effective but very broad program for these babies and their families, and really to be able to consider an infant's feeding and swallowing capabilities in a very broad context, and how this can help the infant really achieve the very important skill of breastfeeding and fully breastfeeding.
Well, thank you so much for that, Robin. What a wealth of knowledge already. I'm so drawn into hearing more of what you have to share. And I was just thinking about those little fragile babies in the NICU, and it is true that they are younger and younger these days, and the complexities of what happens in the NICU too, as they struggle, and just working with those families as well. And I was a NICU mom myself, and so I had that first hand-on experience to so many great professionals like yourself. So it's flooding back many memories of what it was like for me. But I get many calls even today because we have many families who are just wanting so desperately to breastfeed in the NICU, and I'm sure you hear that a lot.
Oh, yes, very definitely. One of the things that I really, for myself, find rewarding is that my work, while it is more infant focused. In fact, the entire family, not just the mother and the babe, but the entire family is really the patients, the clients that I am working with. And so I do need to understand and factor in all of the emotional overlay that is going on with any family that is having an ill infant and an infant who is premature.
Yes, it isn't. It is incredible. It's a whole family deal today, and I was thinking about the little siblings that my middle son had, and he had two younger brothers, and they were, had their hands up, tiny little hands up, looking inside at their little brother. So, I mean, there's siblings that come along with this whole package now too, and they want to know what's happening, and so I'm sure you see some of that as well.
Oh, absolutely. Sometimes when I particularly have my outpatient visits, it's quite crowd control between the young
Yes.
siblings and the mothers and whoever else they bring. Certainly, I am always, when I am greeting my patients, I usually have the baby, and every good baby has an entourage involved. So there's always a whole host of people that are involved with this
Beautiful.
particular mom and baby pair.
So lovely. Well, thank you. It's so great to hear you share that, and thank you for being part of this very needed and sometimes complex area of work. And I know that you have achieved a lot. I was going to mention, I know that you. I was reading your bio today, so of course, with coming up at our Gold Conference, we'll be talking more about that. But I know that you have written extensively, and I know that you have spoken extensively in this area as well. So a real expertise here at Gold. We're very fortunate to have you here. So thank you, Robin Glass, for joining me here today.
Thank you very much for having me as part of this wonderful conference.
Well, that was Robin Glass, and of course, as I mentioned earlier, she will be with us here live, which will give you lots of opportunity to engage with her and ask questions during the presentation. If you're not familiar with Gold, we like to have a live Q&A afterwards, so it'll be directly after the presentation that Robin is speaking to. Well, thank you again for Robin for being with us here today, and of course, our listening audience. Bye-bye for now, everyone.